that is the solution to the first part. Now, suppose you were to look at the second one. Let me just separate my board so you can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. The values remain the same. A is -1, B is 2, and C is -3. All we're going to do at this point is to replace, again, the values of our A, B, and C to ascertain the value of the expression. And so the second part, if you have A minus B, remember A is -1, so that's -1, and then it says minus B, which is +2 there, and then we put a square, and then it says minus, and then we have B plus C rather, so B is 2, and to that we're adding C, which is -3, and of course we're going to square. Now we always work out what is in the bracket first, but if simplification must be done in the bracket, we must first simplify our bracket before we remove it. Now in my bracket I see I have -1, -2. What does that mean? It basically means that if I have a negative value of 1 and to that I am adding another negative value which is 2, then -1 minus 2 is the same thing as -1 plus -2. And when you add numbers having the same sign, all you're doing is to add the numbers the normal way and keep the signs if the signs are the same. However, if the signs are different, we basically subtract the smaller number from the bigger number basically and keep the sign of the bigger number. And we're talking about, for instance, -1 plus -2. In this case, we have our value to be equal to -3. We're going to be squaring that minus, this case, 2 plus -3. This is the part I was making reference to earlier. I am adding two numbers having unlike signs. The 2 is positive, the 3 has a minus sign. So all I'm going to be doing is basically take the 2 from the 3 and keep the sign of my 3. What I want you to do is to compare 2 and 3. Don't look at 3 having a minus sign just yet. So if you compare 2 with 3, you know that 3 is bigger than 2. But if you attach the sign now to the 3, that is a -3. So what I'm basically doing is to take, since I'm adding two numbers having unlike signs, I will take the 2 away from the 3, so that is 3 minus 2. But because this 3, which is the bigger number, and of course in reality 3 is bigger than 2, it has a sign that is minus, I will keep the sign of the bigger number in this case, which is 3, so to speak. And so 2 plus -3 is the same thing as 2 minus 3, which is equal to -1. Or if you look at it the way I told you earlier, when you add numbers having unlike sign, take the smaller number from the bigger number as it relates to the value of the numbers basically, and then you keep the sign of the bigger number. So I'm comparing 3 with 2. 3 is bigger than 2, but 3 has a minus sign attached, so I will take 2 from 3 and keep the sign of the bigger number, which is a -1. Now we have -3 square. We know now the rules of multiplication and their signs. So -3 square we know is equal to 9. I will demonstrate that in a little while. And then for this one, we keep our sign. When we remove the bracket, -1 square is +1. But we have a minus sign in between the two brackets. So the final result will be equal to 8. So that's 9 minus 1. Again, that is 8. Now, just to point out again what I said to you earlier, I am adding these two numbers. So when you add numbers having unlike signs, you take the smaller number from the bigger number and you keep the sign of the bigger number. In this case, my 9 is positive and my 1 is minus. So it is like saying -9 plus -1. I'm adding +9 plus -1. So I take away the smaller number from the bigger number and I keep the sign of the bigger number. You do not see a plus right here. It is understood to be there because plus suggests positive, and so our 8 in this case is positive. Also, minus 3 square, we know, so this is an aside right here, and we also know that negative 3 square means minus 3 multiplied by minus 3. Again, when you multiply numbers, see, having the same sign, your answer will always be positive. So a negative times a negative will give you what is called a positive 9. Not a negative 9, but a positive 9. And the same holds for negative 1 square.